see it. If not, another one will be coming in a couple days. So I'm gonna go ahead to get some coffee right now at Starbucks. And for today, let's see, for today, I'm doing a Facebook Live. Let me just get across the street here. Alright, so today, 12:30, I'm doing a Facebook Live talking about binge eating, especially binge eating over the holidays. So I need some practice. I'm gonna talk to you guys about it a little bit first. How to recognize binge eating, how to maybe prevent it if it's creeping up, and what to do when you've had a binge, and how to get back on track. So we're gonna talk about that. Let's go get some caffeine. And I really like this thing. We'll see what that content actually looks like when the gimbal, or we'll see what the content looks like when we get it all edited and smooth it all out. So catch back to you guys in a couple moments. Alright, just wanted to say thanks so much for following me and supporting me through this journey. If this is the first time you're coming across my channel, please consider subscribing below. I hope this video meets your expectations, so big thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever works, and toss some comments below on your healthy habits for reducing binging. Let's get into this upload. Alrighty, so the hotel, they didn't want me to film, so I'll get it. So today, Friday, December 22nd. Nice. It's not for me. So we're gonna talk about what actually is binge eating. We're gonna go through the cycle of actually how binge eating generally works. I'm also gonna provide you guys with some tips and some strategies to implement on how to sort of stop that cycle, or how to work away from it as well. And how to understand how that cycle or pattern can start, and potentially a few tips on how to actually stop it before it starts. When you think about binge eating, generally speaking, our first thoughts that come to mind is someone who's obese and they've got a really big issue with food, and that's generally not the case. When we look at binge eating, it can affect a lot of people in a lot of different body compositions, a lot of different life stages. It's normal, it happens, and especially like I'm pointing to downtown with when we walk outside in everyday life, it's very, well, because we're in the holidays, we see a very huge prevalence of binge eating, and it's almost like it's acceptable and it's almost encouraged, well, in office environments. So if you're someone like an office worker, you probably see that, especially over the holidays, on a regular basis. When we look at binge eating, it's generally happening at home, but more and more often it's becoming a very social norm, so we're starting to see it a lot more in office settings. The biggest thing with binge eating is just understanding how the cycle starts. Binge eating, it happens when, first off, we're feeling deprived or feeling like we're missing out, and we're utilizing the food as our source of pleasure. Number two, we have an overwhelming urge to eat, and especially if we've spaced out our calories in a day, we've skipped some meals, that overwhelming urge to eat is very much subconscious and is almost unavoidable, and we almost don't understand why we're doing it when it starts. So then generally happens the binge. We overconsume, we're looking for that pleasure, that satisfaction from food, and it's just not coming. We're trying to get that comfort side of it with food, and it's really just not happening. So we continue to indulge. We also generally will go to very calorie dense foods, so we're not gonna really feel full. Adding in some better food with that obviously would reduce the binge, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So after that binge happens, number four, we feel the guilt association. We don't have that control on our life. We feel very ashamed of what we've done. And to close out that cycle, generally speaking, number five, we generally diet again, and we go into a deep deficit. Because we're trying to like reverse that over binging that we've done. Generally speaking, if you go into a deep deficit, you're probably going to come out of it in a very accelerated way, meaning that you're going to overeat again. So when we talk about binge eating, a lot of us just think about the physical side of it, we don't consider how it actually puts a toll on our mental health, on our emotional health, and especially on our hormonal health. We just think about the short-term physical side of it. When you're looking at binging and on the other side getting healthier overall, you've got to take it as a long-term approach. Give it months and potentially years, not days, or even, as some of us, take hours at the approach. So binge eating happens, it's normal, everyone goes through it, but I'm gonna give you some tips right now that I utilize on how to reduce the binge and how to ensure that we're recognizing that and potentially stopping it from happening, or when it does happen, it's not going to be as deep of a deficit, or it's not going to be as deep of a downward spiral as it has been potentially in the past for you. Number one, the first thing is find another source of pleasure. And what do I mean by that? A lot of us go to the food for pleasure side of it. We're looking to have it sort of feed those endorphins and make us feel better. It might initially, but the long-term effects of it don't help out, and how it really throws off our hormones, how it really impacts our mental health is something that we generally don't consider. When I said find other sources of enjoyment or pleasure, keep yourself really busy doing things you really like to do. You have a supportive spouse or significant other, maybe you might want to find a little bit of pleasure in spending a little bit more time with them and getting a little bit of those endorphins going, really, if you know what I mean with that, and use that as your source of pleasure. So number two is a good mindfulness side of it, and don't forget to eat. With clients, I notice this a lot when they're really busy in life, and especially with the holidays, they're skipping meals or they're just not aware of it because everything else is going on. That's when we tend to binge. We really don't consider how hormones, especially hunger hormones, impact that. So when we spread apart food, when we skip meals, our body's gonna wanna catch up and find that balance point. We really don't like being out of balance, so the body's gonna wanna catch up in terms of calories, and a lot of the times, because those hunger hormones are popping up, we're gonna overeat. So my recommendation with that is adding in less calorie-dense foods and more nutrient-dense foods overall. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're going to binge, add in some protein, add in some veggies, add in some water. Guaranteed you're not going to eat as much, and those hunger hormones really aren't going to take over in terms of your control. Number three, slow down your indulgences. I'll use a situation that happened the other week. Michelle and I went out for dinner. We had an appetizer. We had this nice, delightful charcuterie platter. I was hungry. Initially, I started to enjoy my food a lot quicker than I should have. And sometimes we just need that reminder, maybe from a significant other, to slow things down a little bit. Enjoy those indulgences. Enjoy the process. Savor it that much more. Slow down and really think about your food intake. You're not going to subconsciously just consume a bulk amount of calories as quick. Number 4 and number 5 are kind of the same, but number 4 is de-stress. Find something to have an outlet for your stress. When stress pops up, we will overconsume in food. So finding a de-stressing activity that you like to do, whether it be yoga, whether it be walking, whether it be meditating, even better, have an outlet for that stress. Get some physical activity going, because then you can put those calories to good use. Like I said with number 5, very similar to number 4, being slow down, relax, take a little bit of time with your food intake. So number 5, much like number 4, slow down, relax. When I look at HALT, H-A-L-T, being hunger, being angry, being lonely, being tired, all of those will bring on an overconsumption of calories. So being aware of that when you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired, having another outlet would be very healthy, not only for the mental side of it, but long-term for your physical health. I talk about this a lot. I know it sounds really simple, but number 6 is eat more protein, eat more veggies, drink more water. All of those things are lower in calories and more volume dense, so you're gonna be able to, it's just gonna reduce the chance of you binging, and you're going to eat less calories overall. I talk about this too, we are creatures of habit. A lot of the times when we're feeling good, we're going to eat better, and we're going to do more overall. So when we don't eat so well, we obviously do far less because we don't feel as good and we don't eat as good. So in the aspect of creating those habits and strategies and patterns, you're gonna notice that you feel better when you eat better food. That's a good way to really, really stop that binge from happening and get into a good habitary form of a healthy lifestyle overall. I only got a couple more here. Number 7 is the awareness of how good food actually makes you feel. Remember too, when I talked about the pleasure side of it, good foods can also give you pleasure. Think about like freshly cut strawberries or a nice piece of juicy steak or a really perfectly cooked piece of fish. All of those things are good for you and they'll probably make you feel good and satisfied. And you're not feeling like you're missing out. So generally speaking, you're not going to overindulge on foods with less nutrient factor to them. Second last one, number 8 is, well, think about the food that you're buying in your house. A lot of the times I hear this from clients, well, like I just have bad food in the house and I have it for the kids. Remember, your kids are not the ones that are grocery shopping. You are the parent, you're the one making those decisions. So put better food in your house, you're going to eat better food. Much like for adults with that pattern of binging or creating habits, that happens at a young age. So helping your children, helping your offspring, creating better and healthier decisions overall will help out not only their mental health, but physical health long term for them. It's gonna put a lot of solid strategies in place as they age. And the last one, simply put, don't obsess over it. When you think about it, every single meal that we have in a day gives us an opportunity to practice mindful eating and awareness overall of our food intake. So in a year, you're having upwards of 1,000 times to practice on the mindfulness and healthy eating. When we get way off track, when we create bad habits and strategies, it might take a little bit of time to unlock that mindset and to unlock a lot of the habits that we've created. So give yourself a little bit of time to create better patterns overall. And remember, eating healthier not only improves your physical health, your mental health, your overall emotional health, but your hormonal health, short and long term. So really, you got nothing to lose. And if you have any questions on how to incorporate it, throw it in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. Hit me up on social media anytime, DM me, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever platform you like. Let's talk about getting you to eat healthier and feel better overall. That's why I'm here and that's what I want to help you do. All right, we're gonna sign off this vlog as we sign off every other upload. Never underestimate the power of positivity and optimism. It's really the only way to go because the alternative will never breed you the success that you want. This is vlog 52 in 52 weeks of the year. I mean, we had a lot more uploads than just the 52, but goal was to get 52 vlogs out this year, done. And maybe we'll get a couple more before 2017 is done. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one.